Hello and welcome back to my podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting as well. Today, I'm going to talk about hypnosis for IBS and digestive issues. Now, if you're worrying about hypnosis, please don't go away. I would really like to talk to you a little bit about how it can be helpful and also to explain a little bit about hypnosis and demystify it a little bit because it can be a bit mysterious. People have worries about it, and you can listen to another podcast where I explain as well all about hypnosis and what it is and what it isn't. So, hypnosis for IBS and digestive issues is actually something that is recognised by the NICE guidelines in the UK. Unfortunately, though, you really don't see this in action in medical settings. You don't get it mentioned probably by your doctor or in the hospital, although some hospitals in the UK do use hypnosis for IBS and digestive issues. But it is supported by a lot of research. And this is one of the reasons why I trained in hypnotherapy, because I'm a nutritional therapist that works with evidence. I wanted another therapy that would help my clients with their stress, but also with their IBS. And I wanted something that was evidence based, and hypnosis is. So, hypnosis has been shown in research studies to help with symptoms of IBS and digestive issues in interventions between 6 and 12 weeks. So it's intended as a short-term intervention, as I said before about hypnosis, but the number of sessions, you do need a certain number of sessions for the hypnosis to embed, the suggestions to embed, and for longer lasting results. But yes, everything between 6 and 12 weeks. But of course, it's very much client-led, so you're not expected to, have to keep going for that many sessions. It's very much depends on you and your results. And I find clients often get results, in not that many sessions. So that's good. So how does it work? Well, I do sometimes talk about the gut-brain connection, and I think this is becoming a popular subject now as well. And the gut-brain connection is simply that relationship between the communication of the gut to the brain and the brain to the gut. So there's a two-way communication, and that communication takes place through chemicals, through neurotransmitters, through nerves and signals, electrical signals, and so on. So there's lots of communication going on all the time. And those signals, sometimes the signals are telling the brain to produce, hormones. For example, serotonin, which a lot of it is produced in the gut, but it's then conveyed through the vagus nerve up to the brain. And so we've got that communication going on, but we've also got obviously on a very basic level, we've got our thoughts and feelings that go on in the brain that might signal an emotion that makes us feel a certain way, that then tells our gut to do something. So, for example, I expect that everyone can relate to the example of feeling a bit excited about something or a bit nervous about something. So if you're nervous or excited and you've had that sensation that we sometimes call butterflies in our stomach, well, that is a classic example of the gut brain, because it's the thoughts that go on in the head that make the emotions that cause the chemicals to be produced that send the message to the gut. So the gut and the brain communicating, they communicate in terms of our, well-being, our immune system, relaxation and anxiety. So many different aspects of our health and well-being are involved in these communications. But of course, when we're thinking about IBS and digestive issues, we're thinking about that sort of the digestive side of things. The brain and the gut can really support each other. And so that's where hypnosis can come in. So when I work with clients, I use gut-directed hypnotherapy. I'm a cognitive behavioral hypnotherapist. So I also use cognitive behavioral techniques. So we might explore unhelpful thoughts, unhelpful thinking styles, thinking loops and worries. I don't do this with everybody, but if it's appropriate, particularly for people who've got anxiety around eating and situations, especially where you have fears around food triggers or eating out. We also, the behavioral side is more like the practical things. What can we do differently? And so I think that's really important as well. And the hypnosis itself, and I've talked about hypnosis before, but the hypnosis is, a 20-minute or so, 20 minutes, 25 minutes session where you've got your eyes closed and you go into this state of focused attention where the brain waves go into a more receptive state where we can take on suggestions. And those suggestions have been shown in research to have a physiological as well as a psychological effect, which means that we can see improvements in symptoms and we can see improvements in things like bowel movements, pain, discomfort, um, and also the anxiety and worry that we might experience as well around, our IBS or digestive issues or eating issues. So it's really well supported in the research, and I think it's quite fascinating how we can have this physiological response to hypnosis. And of course, it doesn't just stop there. Physiological responses to hypnosis are, outlined in research for other areas as well. But for me, specializing in digestive issues as a nutritional therapist, this is an exciting tool that I can use with clients. So, what does it look like? A typical a typical hypnotherapy session is different because hypnotherapy is the overarching therapy. So I might see somebody, like I say, it might be 6 weeks or something. We don't always do it weekly. We might do it seven to 14-day intervals. We'll talk. We'll use tools. I might teach you some relaxation tools, some self hypnosis. We'll also talk around the practicalities of things like eating. And the nutrition piece can be really helpful set on a separate note for that. But that's the nice thing about hypnotherapy is we don't have to worry about the food and the eating side of it. But we can explore the thinking and the worry around that and come up with things to help with that. And then the hypnosis part, I guide you. So remember that hypnosis isn't somebody doing something to you. It's not a magic spell and it's not mind control. So it's me guiding you into a relaxed state and then guiding you through the suggestions which we would have collaborated on. So the suggestions will be made and they're very much about what you're trying to achieve. So typical suggestions might be something like, you're noticing that your bowel movements are normalized, you're making a bowel movement every day, you are no longer experiencing bloating or discomfort, you're no longer preoccupied with the worry around eating out. So those sorts of things, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, whatever your goal is. So we'll integrate those suggestions into the hypnosis, and I might often use description. So I might describe a nice place, and that's collaborative because if your idea of a nice place might be different to mine. So somewhere that's relaxing, and you might have a favorite place, or I might describe somewhere, and I might use. It's quite common actually to use metaphor, particularly for gut-directed hypnotherapy. So might use an analogy of a river flowing, for example. And it's not just, the suggestions are not just about symptoms. We'll also make suggestions to support your self-confidence, your ability to go into hypnosis and to achieve the results. We'll have suggestions around your anxiety and fears and things like that as well. So looking at a more holistic view, because it is a holistic therapy. So let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to say. Then what I think is particularly helpful with gut-directed hypnotherapy is, one thing, it does give us a break from consciously thinking about food and eating. But sometimes it is difficult to support something called hypersensitivity. And that's when the nervous system of the gut, because the gut is heavily populated with nerves, can sometimes just become on hyper alert. It gets extra sensitive. So, one person could eat the same meal as someone else, and it's not necessarily a food intolerance or allergy, but it might be just that the natural gases or whatever that are given off by those foods just might feel to you like a balloon is being blown up in your stomach compared to someone else who might not have that experience. So there just might be a lot more sensitivity in the digestive tract. And that isn't always easy to address with nutrition and food and lifestyle, although we can support the health of the gut lining, we can support all the different elements of digestion. But the hypersensitivity, I think, is one area where gut-directed hypnosis can be really helpful. And of course, addressing the fears and worries and anxiety around what can I eat, eating out, where's the loo, and all those sorts of practicalities and things like that. So a bit of a shorter one today, but I hope you found that helpful. If you've got any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, and do feel free to ask me any questions or make suggestions of things I can talk about in the future. And thanks so much for being here. And please like and share and comment, and I'll see you again next time.